what we're looking at today is Satya. And Satya is truthfulness. Now, the way that it kind of goes in the ladder of importance is Ahimsa is first and then Satya is second. So we always want to be truthful, but we never want to be truthful in order to hurt somebody. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not truthful because we're afraid we're going to hurt someone. It's that I'm going to be truthful in a moment to hurt you. The only example that kind of comes to my head right now is, let's say I have a partner. I cheated on my partner. I didn't tell my partner. And I get mad at them. We get in a fight and I tell them the truth in that moment, and it's to hurt them. I cheated on you because you are so terrible. Can you see how that is? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's when we would not want to do it. The other piece is that you're not going to be truthful just to unload on your own guilt, right? Because you're looking for someone else to forgive you so you can feel better. And the truth is that that's never going to happen because you have to like do all this work yourself, first and foremost. Secondly, the only example that comes up for me is like cheating again. And what I'm thinking is like, you're with your partner, you've been with them for 20 years, and the guilt has just consumed you all these years that you feel you need to tell them now. Now, it's not to lie, but you've lied for 20 years. So what good is it gonna do to tell them? Now, if it is like, because I feel so shitty, I need to get it off my chest, that's not a reason to tell someone. That's so that you could unload your own hurt onto them. See how that's violence? Yet if we look at it in a different perspective, it's like, I can't fully move forward with this person if they don't know that there was this situation in which I was unfaithful or whatever that looks like. And then that would be more of a time that you would be truthful. So nonviolence is above truthfulness, but it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse not to tell someone because you're like, oh, it'll hurt them. Always default to truthfulness. In my opinion, honesty, transparency, 100% is better than anything. I think about a time I had a partner and I wasn't happy, and I suggested this like therapy program. So I got it, we started doing it, and I remember the very first lesson was radical honesty. And so she comes on and she says, like, you need to be 100% honest with your partner, everything. Sit down, talk about it all, and then let it all out on the plate, and then pick up the pieces as you go so that you can start from a very vulnerable, honest, transparent, and clear space. And I remember we sat there and I said a couple things like, I'm not happy with this or I'm not happy with that. But what I really wanted to say was, I want to leave. I don't want to do this anymore. I was afraid of the whole mess that was going to follow that, which ended up following that. Anyways, like I had to eventually deal with it anyways. But I was afraid of the fallout. And that for me was one of the biggest lessons, because we were like a group and we were moving through it together. And there was another gentleman that was like, he had a gambling addiction, he had a sex addiction, he had a drinking addiction, and he was doing all these things behind his wife's back. And he admitted it all. Like this is the biggest bomb. I mean, it wasn't just like, hey, I gambled away 15 grand. It was like, hey, I gambled away 15 grand. I've slept with multiple other women. It was massive. And I mean, she decided to stay with him, and that is cool. I don't know what happened in the end, but I just know in those moments, they decided to stay in the program and continue to work on stuff. And it was like, that happened the next week that we found out about it. And I just remember thinking like, damn. And I couldn't even be honest about like not wanting to be in the relationship. And here this guy just like, boom, exploded his life. They had like 2 children, and my dog's having a thing here. So Yeah, so I always remember that as like a lesson in radical honesty. And I vowed to just be really honest for the rest of my life. And I have. And it can be really uncomfortable. For sure. I've been really uncomfortable. And I have another lesson. There was someone that's a friend that said they wanted to buy land beside me, and I was like, okay. And to be honest, like, yeah, that'd be cool, but also I know that most relationships don't last for life. And I kind of knew it at that moment. And I didn't say no. I was like really people pleasing and afraid to upset this person. And if it would go good, it would have been amazing. My bestie living right beside me. But the person wasn't my bestie. And and they bought the property beside me. And what I've noticed over the last little bit of my own people pleasing is that when I create more drama by trying to prevent drama. And so now it's just like, hold on, here we go. I like pull the pin out of the grenade and then I throw it and I'm like, okay, let's deal with the fallout now. So that brings me to an idea or perspective of Satya is to be real instead of be nice. That is something that I've learned really strongly in my own practice, in my own life, is I've spent a lot of time being nice and I haven't been real, and that's not honest. Being nice is not honest. I can be real and kind. That's different. Can you feel the difference in that? So I really have learned that in the last little while, especially with coaching in the last little bit. People get really addicted to their stories, and the only way that someone can really make a shift or a change in their life is if they take responsibility for everything. And I mean that, everything. And that is a problem that a lot of people have is no. There's all these things that like weren't their fault. So another thing is self expression versus self indulgence. One thing that I've noticed in my journey to self actualization is that when things are going really great, I start to fall out of self actualization and then reattach to like the money and the ego and the status and the likes and the share. I need a constant reminder to remember like I'm on this journey to self actualize, not become the richest, most famous yoga teacher in the world. And so there is a fine line between taking care of self and then indulging, and moderation that comes to the next yama that we'll be looking at, or the 2 yamas from now, brahmacharya. So these are, see how they just kind of fit into our lives and they can be really, really helpful. Let's read the sutras on what the sutras say if you stay truthful. So 2.36 by Mukunda Style says, by abiding in truthfulness, one's words and actions are subservient to truth, and thus whatever is said or done bears the fruit of that sincerity. In some other translations of the sutras, they say that, and it brings jewels, gems, and abundance to you. So being truthful, being vulnerable, it brings you what you're looking for in your life. And if you think about this, including with the stories that I've said, if I had just said, no, I don't want you to buy the property, no, I don't want to be with you anymore, then someone wouldn't have bought the property beside me and I would have not been with that partner for another several years. So yeah, there's some abundance in being honest, right? So your homework for Satya is over the next week. I really want you to notice when you're being real and when you're being nice. When is it that you're people pleasing? In fact, my partner and I just had this like yesterday. Was cooking and doing the dishes, and then I was like, can you make me some iced tea? And he was like, yeah, and then he wasn't happy about it. And so I had this moment of like, I wasn't trying to like add on to things. He had given me my breakfast, and the day before when I made breakfast, I made iced tea in between. And so if he couldn't have, like his eggs were going to be overcooked, then he could have said no. And that would be fine. I would be okay. Great. When I'm done breakfast, I'll make the iced tea. But instead, he made the iced tea and then wasn't like super happy with me. So we talked about that, like, because that's people pleasing. He's doing the thing that I asked to make me happy, but he's not happy about it. And so these are ways that we can practice with communication, honesty, and truthfulness with our partners about the difference between being real and being nice. No, I don't want to do that right now. Or no, I don't have the space. And I love this. No is a full sentence.